Tired of suffering at your job? This is for Black women in toxic jobs. I was just telling Kim, my guest today, that I feel a little out of sorts today, and you might feel that way too. So, in addition to the Sunday scaries that many of you might be experiencing in a toxic job, and oh, got to go back tomorrow, uh, just about what's happening tomorrow. Not Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day, because that's a beautiful thing, okay? And unfortunately, this situation that's happening is overshadowing that, which is so sad. But I was telling Kim, I feel a little out of sorts today. I'm a little unfocused, but I'm just honest about that. And so I wanted to be transparent with you that hopefully it doesn't come across during the live today. But just to give ourselves permission as Black women that we are walking into very uncertain times, and it can cause us to feel like what is happening and trying to do things to help ourselves feel better. So Kim was sharing a little bit about what she did for herself or what she's doing for herself to feel better tomorrow. So maybe she'll share that with. Oh, okay, no.
I'll share part of it, but I'm not going to.
Okay. She shared part of it. So these are some very interesting times. And when you think about, absolutely, a day of mourning. So true. It's a day of mourning, right? So it's like Dr. Martin Luther King, right? The dream, the hope, and then a day of mourning. And so we have to just think about what is the reality we want to create for ourselves, okay? So I have a video that I'm going to post up that is about some survival tips for us as Black women during these uncertain times. So that was a lot of intro. So I want to turn it over to my guest, Kim, for her to introduce herself.
Hey, everyone. I am Kim, also known as Kim, aka Kim with the Gems, over on my YouTube channel. And on that channel, we talk all things wellness, travel, and finance from a cultural perspective, from a cultural point of view. I'm also the founder of a community called Black Travel and Culture. And now that TikTok is back again, I have over 300,000 followers in that community. And that community is just really to educate, empower, inspire Black people to not only travel the world, but to embrace other cultures, learn from other cultures, and learn how much more we have in common than we think. And so, I was just sharing with Dr. Kamani, I am too feeling the effects of everything that's been going on. And, I don't like to use words. I don't want to claim words, but anxious is definitely, in the mist, in the air. And so, I see a couple of my chat right now, and they know that I've been on today is the 14th day of a full body detox. And it's been fruits, vegetables, water, and herbal teas. And so today, preparing for tomorrow, I made a pit stop in the supermarket and got something so far away from anything that I've been eating over the past 2 weeks in order to soothe myself. And I think that unapologetically, we need to do things like that. I definitely will get back on the wagon eventually, but tomorrow it will be me, and I'll share some Entenmann's brownie cakes.
Yes. And you know what? I appreciate you sharing that, because sometimes we get like ashamed and embarrassed, like, oh my God, I've been doing this fast, I shouldn't tell people. But it's okay every now and then to say, you know what, I need this right now. I need something to soothe myself and kind of ground myself and help myself feel better. Because you're right, like, we don't want to claim the anxiety, but that's how we're feeling too, right?
It is absolutely unfathomable that we would be here in 2025 experiencing the things that we're experiencing. Exactly. I mean, it's just unfathomable. So I thank you. I thank you so much, Dr. Kamani, for having me here.
Of course.
Your community is one that is so needed. The fact that you face the conversation about toxic jobs head on, unapologetically, without question, and also providing solutions, real solutions to women who think that they don't have any, that they're stuck. I thank you, for building such an amazing brand and helping people along the way. So thank you for having me today.
Thank you. So let me tell everybody how I met Kim. So I watched Kim with the Gems, and she was going live like every day. Like, what was it, like 7 weeks or something? You were going live every day?
8 weeks.
8 weeks.
No, wait,
Okay.
wait. 8 weeks? 7 weeks.
Woo.
56 days. Yes.
Wow, every
56
day.
days
Now
of
you
straight
talk
time.
about commitment. That's some commitment. People will say to me, "How can you be on?" This woman was on every day for all that time. Okay, so I was watching Kim, and so Kim was talking about, and what I love about your community is that you, first of all, you have the real talk. I love the real talk. The other thing is you talk to Black people about what our options are. And that's what's so important for us when we feel these times of uncertainty or anxiety, that we think about what we have control over and what we have options to do. So we're not stuck, okay? So, Kim, let's talk about your experience in a job. Oh, well, I didn't finish the story. Oh my God. See, I told you I'm all over the place today. Oh my God. Okay. So I was watching Kim and I said, you know what? This is when we were pitching the financial masterclass for Black women. So Dr. Roche and I were on a whole bunch of YouTube channels. You may have seen us on a whole bunch of YouTube channels. And I said, oh, wait a minute. I think I want to see if we can get on Kim's channel. So I sent Kim an email, but I don't know if she saw it. And so I knew she was coming on live, right? So I was in the chat. Hey, I sent you an email. And then she responded back, and then we went from there. So Dr. Roche and I were on her channel talking about the financial masterclass, and she was so gracious with accommodating us, because I think that was the day you're going to take a break. You're going to take your first break.
Yes, that was supposed to be that Sunday was supposed to be the last of the consecutive lives, but that Monday with you on, God worked it out. Listen, there's no mistakes
Yeah.
in that. That worked out. Yeah.
Yeah. And it just really showed that for us as Black people, like when we reach out to each other and we try to help one another, that we can collaborate, right? So I
100%.
appreciated that Kim was like, okay, come on. We were talking, and I was like, wait a minute, I want Kim to be on my channel too. So that's how all that came to be. Okay. So let's transition back
I
to
love it.
talking about your experience in an environment, because what I appreciate what you told me, Kim, offline, is when I talk on YouTube, I generally talk about Black women in toxic jobs and Black women leaving toxic jobs. But I've realized that a lot of Black women who watch my channel, number one, they're not ready to leave a toxic job. So they might be scared and they're trying to get the courage to leave. Or they may leave a job that maybe they've outgrown, or they may have seen later that the job was toxic and they still left, but it wasn't necessarily toxic that got them out. So can you share your experiences of being in a work environment where it turned from positive to negative?
Absolutely. And so the way I think I'll start off that conversation is just sharing a little bit about how I ended up at that job.
Okay.
And it was the job that I had for the longest amount of time in my career, almost 20 years, right? And it was a job that I prayed for.
Mm.
So people in my community may have heard some of this story before, but I'm a graduate of Howard University, went into college thinking I was going to come out going to law school, ended up getting bit by the communications bug. I took a elective in the School of Communications. Howard University has a very high ranking, very well-known School of Communications. We've graduated everyone from Frederica Whitfield, who's on CNN, to Michelle Miller, who's she's an anchor on CBS, and so many others. And so I got bit by that bug. My mom, I don't know, was too happy about me switching from pre-law to School of Communications. She's like, what? School of what? And so, but it was just a passion. And I started really honing. I had a love of media. I had a love of journalism, but never knew like what the career path looked like. And so I do believe it was a divine mission for me to go to Howard and to go to a school with such an impressive media department, with media faculty that really encouraged and inspired. Long story short, well, long story longer, I should say, I ended up graduating with a media management degree. So that was more like the business end, but I took journalism classes and the like. And my goal was to work for certain people. I had two people after learning about them. Well, I actually had three people.
Okay.
Three people that I wanted to work for or work under in their brand.
Mhm.
One was, his name was Hal Jackson, rest in peace, and he was part of inner city broadcasting here in New York. They owned WBLS, WLIB, certain radio stations, but I always thought he was the like president of WBLS. I didn't know that, but I learned more about his history, and I was like, I would
Mhm.
love to work for someone like him. Susan Taylor, who
Mm.
everyone knows, from
Essence.
Essence and In the
Mhm.
Spirit, and just such a graceful energy. Once again, I'm thinking she's calling the shots at Essence because she was the face of the brand, not
Right.
knowing until I ended up there, like the behind the scenes, but I always wanted to work for her. And Kathy Hughes. Kathy
Wow.
Hughes is the founder, and she has some history with Howard University too. So
Mm.
Kathy Hughes, she's the president of TV1, or me. It's not TV1 anymore. It's U1.
Mm.
So stock wise, it's U1, but
Mhm.
it's television. Think of TV1 network. She has a host of radio, urban. What is it? Urban Media Network, I think. It's a whole host of radio networks across the country. And so I was always told, like, people were like, well, you're going to have to go start at a small market. You're going to have to move into the deep South and get your experience before you go back to New York. And I'm like, I
Mm.
live in New York. I'm from New York. What do you mean I got to move to a small town? Please. I am not moving to the country to find a job. Fast forward, I ended up getting a job at WBLS Radio in the sales department. People could
Mm.
not understand. I had no experience, real full-time experience in radio, but ended up, you know, networking my way to a full-time job. Then years later, I ended up on a whim. This was nothing but divine. I literally did not. I knew someone who worked at Essence. I knew a couple people, but they weren't really senior roles or anything like that. Sent a resume to the HR department. I got a phone call.
Wow.
Listen, it was and I had just gotten another job offer that I accepted, which was the weirdest thing. Got a job offer, went to the interview, was a little bit concerned because they had me take a typing test. I
Hmm.
know how to type, but the job was accounts director in sales.
Hmm.
And I'm like, okay, this is a bust.
Mhm.
They brought me in for something. Like I'm not going to be anyone's assistant. Like they were just killing time because the person I needed to interview was running late. Had no idea.
Well, I'm glad you get anxious about like what's going on here.
But the
Yeah.
crazy thing, they were like, you type 60 something words a minute. Oh my God. Like they just, anyway. So had an interview, went so well. Was supposed to meet with the VP of sales. This is where God's favor is. She ends up being like her daughter is the god sister to my sister-in-law. And so
Small
I
world.
told my brother and my sister-in-law how well the interview went. Someone made a call. So the VP was like, if you think she should be here, then she's going to be here. I
Hmm.
co-signed. Get the job at Essence. That's the job that we're going to talk about today.
Wow.
I prayed for this job. I manifested this job from college days.
Hmm.
Susan Taylor was still at the company when I
Wow.
started. To be able, and forgive me if I'm buffering because my StreamYard has been acting up. I think they don't like what I'm talking about. But anyway, to be able to manifest that job, and not only manifest it, but to grow in it. So I started as a junior, let's just say account executive.
Mm-hmm.
And God is good is all I'm going to say. From the time I started to the time I ended up leaving, it was just, I thought, a blessing in the sense that, was there things that happened? Was there issues that weren't the best?
Mm-hmm.
Listen, working with a whole lot of women, it has its good, but it also has some, drawbacks. And
Mm-hmm.
I think some of that was because we're all, we're all trying to fight the same fight. And sometimes
Mm-hmm.
we fight each other. And that's if you don't know where to put that energy. And
Mm-hmm.
so staying at the job for, let's be accurate. I want to be accurate. It was over 17 years, just under 18
Wow.
years. that I was there. For the most part, the beginning with the Susan Taylors, with the old management team, with the people that I grew with, it was amazing.
Mm.
And then halfway or soon after I got there, the company divided. So it was no longer fully Black owned.
Um,
It became Time Inc., which is
okay.
a corporate company, brought
Mm-hmm.
the majority share. And things started to change, and you had to
Mm.
change with them. And so that's when some more of the energy that, you know, would be considered toxic started to manifest. But the reason why I'm saying it like that is because as I shared with Dr. Kamani, I didn't recognize it as toxic while I was
Right.
in, because
Yeah.
I paid for this job. I wanted this job.
And it was so good in the beginning too.
And it was amazing. And I'm
Mhm.
around these dynamic Black
Mm.
people, not only in the office, but going to different events and galas and the Congressional Black Caucus and this and that. With all of these dynamic people, who am I to think that these little things that, you know, I'm thinking may be toxic are really toxic? I'm being picky. I want things
Mhm.
perfect. These are the things that were going through my head. But
Right.
as time progressed, whew, child.
So when you said time progressed, does that mean that the toxicity increased? Does it mean that there were other dynamics going on when it was bought?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
There were, and we didn't talk about this offline because we had a minimal conversation. But
Mhm.
imagine being a Black owned company
Mhm.
with Black women as your mission and your focus,
Mhm.
now being ran by non-Black people.
Wow. Trying to tell Black women how to feel, what to do, yeah.
What the edit should look like. You can't
Yeah.
say this, you can't use that word. I remember during one of our events, one of the, I don't know, I guess, yeah, I could say it because it was in the newspaper. Um, we had an event,
Mhm.
and one of the senior lead executives at Time Inc. was like, "Oh my gosh, it just reminds me of a revival." Like, we were entertaining her at this event, and I mean, it was just comments like that that we
Mhm.
had to kind of just put in the back pocket, keep, you know, keep it moving, and, you know, I won't say smile along the way, but, you
Mhm.
know, kind of just not acknowledge what was being
Yeah.
said, or talk behind the scenes about what was said. But there was so much of that. We
Mm.
also had to, you know, sometimes deal with in corporate meetings when there were corporate accounts
Mhm.
that had massive budgets. I'm talking multi-million dollars, right?
Mhm.
I'd be in one of the corporate meetings for one of the corporate accounts, and you'd see almost every other entity under the timing umbrella, but Essence was missing.
Hmm.
But I'm sitting in there like, oh, yeah, you know, we have to talk to another division about the Essence budget because yada yada.
So it's treated like stepchild, basically.
Basically, they didn't want to even acknowledge our existence, right?
Yeah, and
So
wait. I'm sorry. Wait, I have to say something. I used to love Essence. I used to absolutely love Essence. I mean, it was just beautiful, like all the articles and just it was such a beautiful. So it was so major for so many Black women. So to hear that this company buys Essence and they like whatever, like it's not a big deal.
So understand now, they didn't buy them outright. So there was still leadership at Essence,
Hmm.
and then there was leadership. So it was 51
Hmm.
percent in their favor, 49% Essence. That all
Hmm.
changed. They ended up buying us completely outright
Wow.
eventually. But these were the beginning stages of feeling some angst that was like,
Hmm.
okay, but Kim, you prayed for this job. You got to
Hmm.
roll with the punches. God blessed you with this job. God blessed you to work in an environment where you're still serving your community.
Hmm.
Imagine if you go someplace else, you're still gonna,
Hmm.
like, these are the things I'm telling myself, but
Hmm.
every day I'm dealing with daily reminders that it's separate and not equal, you
Right.
know,
So slights, right? People who are not understanding, telling you all what to do.
definitely not understanding or not even caring to understand.
Oh,
Like
you know, the arrogance of it too,
the
right?
audacity, the
Right.
arrogance,
I
the
know you all Black
audacity.
women, but I'm not Black, but I can still tell you what to do and what needs to be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so that's kind of the initial stages when there was some,
It's
this
not
ain't
quite
like it
right.
used to be.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
isn't what it used to be, or being left out of, certain conversations because they didn't want to share the pie and some of these corporate dollars. And
Mhm.
understand, Essence was very strong. We were the only brand in the portfolio of Time Inc. brands that had the Essence Festival that catered to hundreds of thousands of people, that generated millions upon
Mhm.
millions of dollars. It's the
Mhm.
largest gathering of Black Americans in the country
Wow.
over a 3-day period. They didn't have that. And
Mhm.
they knew if we came to talk about that in some of their spaces, we would get the dollars that they thought they should have. And so,
Ah,
yeah,
okay.
there was a lot of, I see somebody said like BET and Viacom, 100% Carolyn,
Yep.
100% like
Yep.
BET and
Yeah. It's
Viacom.
kind of like when we have something that's our own that's too powerful. It's like, no, we got to come in and this is just just like unity for Black people. Like they always talk about divide and conquer. Like there's always something that comes in to disrupt that momentum.
Mhm,
So these things started happening, right? And then you
mhm.
said there were some other changes too. I think you said like the seating situation was different.
Yeah, along with the buyout from Time Inc. came a whole lot of changes, and they were, progressive. They didn't all happen in one fell swoop. It happened over a period of time. So we moved from we were first located at 1500 Broadway, which was right in the heart of Times Square. And we were working, as usual, in our own space. um, for as long as they allowed that to happen. Then
Mhm.
we had to then move into the Sports Illustrated building, which was on 50th Street, between 6th and 7th, and attached to the main Time Inc. building. So the Time
Mhm.
Inc. building is well known. It's actually what Mad Men, the series Mad Men was kind of loosely based off of.
Mhm.
Um, we had another buyout because Warner, no, excuse me. Time Warner owned us and then spun us off. Excuse me. So Time Warner owned Time Inc. and
Okay.
AOL. They bought AOL. That messed them up really bad.
Hmm.
Once that happened, they started spinning off their other media brands that they thought they could do without. So they still had the television. So Time Warner still had like TNT and
Mhm.
other, networks, but they, spun off the print properties and
Mm.
other like radio or other less valuable properties that they thought. And so with that came more changes. So we moved to a new building, but still, I had my office. Like I said, I was there 18 years when I first
Mhm.
started. I started in a cubicle. I was a junior um accounting exec. I then, you know, not accelerated, but I grew into a senior corporate accounts director and had one of the most valuable lists on the team. And so saying all that to say, you would expect me to have an office. I'm
Mhm.
on the phone, I'm all like on the day, setting up meetings in and out. Um, and so as things progressed, we went from office and from 50th Street down to Liberty City, no, Liberty, is it Liberty Park? Near the World Trade Center and
Mhm.
near Wall Street. And it was all open area. Like
Mm.
it was all open space and not like our brand. I was facing somebody who worked at InStyle magazine. So my cubicle faced someone who worked at a whole different brand, but technically a competitive brand
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
we're selling to women. We're both
Mhm.
selling to women or marketing to women or speaking to
So you could
exec.
be trying to get the same corporate people, right? Maybe?
Yeah, so it would be like if I'm speaking to, I don't even I'm talking to brand X and they have a budget for the year to target women 25 to 54 of $1 million, let's just say, for math's sake, that entire budget is going to go across brand titles like O Magazine, Essence, In Style, Elle, whatever magazines were available. But then keep in mind, we also have something called the Essence Festival, where they can feel, touch, distribute, engage, do surveys. So when I'm going in, I'm not asking for 1/10 of that pie. I'm justifying why we should get 50% of the pie or whatever that number was. So I'm going in and I'm presenting. So most of these conversations start off like on your pitch. You're having conversations on the phone, even if you're not pitching on the phone. You're getting the information about your target, your KPIs, all of the information that's required to put together a proposal that makes sense for them. I can't do that with my competitor, even though we're both under the same umbrella of Time Inc.
Your competitors.
I can't do that across from a competitor. And I could hear everyone's conversation and everyone's their minds. Now there were some office spaces, but you had to sign up for them. You had to be one of the first to sign up for them. And everything is not on a clock. Like if I have a client call me back, I call them, I leave a message, they call me back. I don't have time to run and go try to find an open office to try to
get a reservation to take the call, right?
And not everybody's call at this time. Everybody wasn't using cell phones to handle business. They used, phones in the office. And so, so again, there was some energies of just feeling like this isn't working. This is not a measurement. This is not going to get me to success. And I'm very competitive. So I'm one of those people. I'm focused. I'm about my business. I have strategies. I have goals. And all of the things that we were now being introduced to were impeding those goals. And I'm not the only salesperson that felt like that. I'm not the only marketing person that felt like that, but it was definitely something that I'm still trying to stay in gratitude, stay thankful for God blessing me with a career that allows me to still represent in a positive way Black women and support
You're trying to convince yourself in many ways, right? So you saw the situation, you were like, I don't like that, I don't like that, don't complain, I should be grateful. It's not that bad, right? But you were like, this is still not what I wanted it to be. Okay.
Yeah, no. But I would let it flow, I could feel it, but I definitely was like, who am I to be ungrateful? So many people have come and gone. I have outlived so many of my bosses. I directly reported into the president of the company. But prior to that, we had another level it was a vice president. I went through so many VPs in my career there. I can't even count them. I can't even count how many I went through. And so again, for me to question it, I just didn't feel like I felt like it was, like I said earlier, I said to you before, like it was, being disobedient to God, I felt like it was being, like people, I've seen so many people come in, interview for this job, never, so again,
how dare I complain?
How dare I complain? And so, so that's pretty much the growth of the toxicity. It went from so positive when it was Black owned. Again, there were certain things, I don't want to make it sound like it was perfect because, personalities and people, you're going to have, some issues, but nothing I could never get over. But then as the sale happened, and now I'm dealing with outside entities that don't get us, don't want to get us. What's the saying in Boys to Men? They don't know, they don't show, they don't care to or want to know what's going on in the hood or something like that. That's kind of like the energy. They really did not care. Now you had a couple outliers. You would have people call me on the, bat phone and say, Kim, there's a meeting happening here. Did you know about it?
Okay.
Get up here now. So you had some allies, and I don't want to make it seem like it was everybody.
Yeah.
But holistically, it was not, it didn't feel like an allyship. So
okay. Did that affect you outside of work? feeling excluded, feeling like I don't like this seating situation. Did that affect you in any way?
Oh, it
Out-
absolutely did. It absolutely did. So specifically, not really the exclusion. Um, to me, it was to be expected, right? If I got the call on the private phone, I went to the meeting. Like I'm gonna I'm going to make it difficult for you to exclude me. This is not going to be easy work. It's not going to be light work, as the kids say. I'm going to make it difficult because
Right.
I belong here. This brand belongs here. See, it wasn't just me. That's the thing. I think when we're talking about the career, I was representing Black women, right? So it was like, if I just succumb to whatever mess they're trying to pull, I'm doing a disservice to Black women,
Uh-huh.
you
Where's
know,
our voice?
huh?
Where's our voice? Like if you're
Yeah,
not there, where's our voice?
exactly.
It's Black women.
Exactly,
Mhm,
exactly. And
mhm,
so, um, yeah, so I definitely believe that the seating arrangement had the most, or lack thereof, I should say, had the most effect, not only on me, but some
mhm,
of my productivity,
mhm,
because I did not want to be in the office at all,
mhm,
and it went from a place of, um, and we moved a couple of times in open area seating. So it was just like they kept downsizing and they really kept messing with the Essence brand. So it was like where some of the other brands, they stayed consistent. I went from at least, they, because I had seniority, I had a cube, but I had a window seat cube, right? So I
mhm,
overlooked Manhattan and, so that was like a little, then it went from that to now we're just no window seat,
mm,
people passing by every which way. And so
mm,
that again, played with my level of productivity.
yeah,
And it was something that it was difficult to power through. Not
yeah,
only that, but it also extended like a 25 minutes on my commute.
mm,
So it was to have to spend extra time to commute to work, to get to a
mhm,
job and a career. So I spent a lot of time outside the office, which is
mhm,
not always good when you're
mhm,
trying to foster um, not only relationships, but collect information at a
right,
corporate level. So now we're
right,
dealing with corporate. And so, I would find ways. There was a satellite office in Connecticut. I would work out of that sometimes because no
mm,
one would want to go there.
mhm.
And so, even though it was an open space
Yeah,
set,
more privacy.
it was more privacy. And so,
Mhm,
I would do that. I would drive to Connecticut. I would also, um, work from. We were in. It's not called Liberty City. Liberty City is where they are now, but um, oh gosh, I can't think of the name of the building, but there was like a food court, there was a shopping place. I would work from those places.
mm,
And I would take a lot of meetings out of town. I would
okay,
travel as well. But it wasn't the best setup for success. Like I was reacting versus following a plan.
yeah, and you said you weren't as productive either, so all these changes you're trying to accommodate, but then you feel like you're not doing your best work, or you have to, like, do double work because you get distracted by all that kind of stuff, and you said you started, like, really not feeling about going into the job. So
Right.
what was that like for you in terms of the mental preparation of preparing to go into the job, and what was it like when you were actually there?
So what was it like? It was dreadful. It was
Mhm,
dreadful. The good thing is that coming home from the job, so what I had a strategy, right? My
okay.
strategy was to try to set a meeting first thing in the morning with a client, a
Mhm,
breakfast, a pitch, whatever in the morning.
mhm,
Go into the office later, get the work done, but stay late so I could then take a car home and wouldn't have to. That was my peaceful time. The car ride home was a peaceful ride. I literally would have the driver blast music. So we had most companies in Manhattan, if you work after a certain time,
mhm,
instead of risking you going home late and then they'll be at fault or could be sued,
mhm,
they provide car services.
okay.
And so I would take a car service home. I would leave. I think wintertime it was after 8,
Ooh.
summertime it was after 9. Right. So
Ooh.
I'd wait until 8, take a car ride home, because guess what? With the extra half an hour in my commute, unless I left the office at 6 o'clock, there was no guarantee I was going to get home. Well, excuse me, 6:30. Let's say 6:30. There was no guarantee that I would get home before the car did.
Oh my
And taking
God.
public transportation. And so, what it was, it wasn't my best self. Now I
Yeah.
still was productive because I was also paid on commission. So I
Okay.
was still productive, right? I had base salary plus commission. I was
Mhm.
still productive, but I could have been so much more productive. My commission checks
Mhm.
could have been so much greater had
Yeah.
I not been dealing with the emotional side of feeling like we were literally, um, I don't want to use such a strong word, but we were literally in a huddle. Like, I'll just use the word huddle with people that we should not have been in a huddle with, right? And
Right.
so emotionally it was draining. It was
Yeah.
really draining.
So
And
what ends up happening? Because like well, maybe I shouldn't say this, but I'll say it. But like Essence now is night and day from what it was before,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So what ended up happening?
A few things happened. One of which led me to my exit from the brand after over 17 years. And Time Inc. sold Essence to the person who owns Shea Moisture, or who founded Shea Moisture brand, purchased the brand. He
What?
purchased Essence. Yeah. Yeah, his name is Richard Lou, and this is public knowledge. You can,
Okay.
Google it. He purchased the brand. Now, when the brand first went up for sale, there were quite a few contenders. Steve Harvey was even one of them,
Mhm.
looking to purchase the brand because we were still a solid brand. Like I said, not
Mhm.
only did we have, so I wasn't just responsible for the magazine part. We had we did a festival in South Africa, Durban, South Africa. We had the festival here in New Orleans. We had the digital component. So we, were selling and getting sponsors for our digital platform. We also had the red carpet platform. So we had Black women in Hollywood, Black women in music, Black in the Black Beauty Awards. Like, we had so many
Yeah. Mhm.
different branches from the
Mhm.
tree of
Mhm.
Essence, that the company was still very viable and
Mhm.
valuable. And so, Richard Lou had just sold Shea Moisture to Unilever, the company Unilever,
Mhm. Mhm.
for quite a few hundreds of millions of dollars.
Mm.
And so he then invested into the brand, and he's no, I didn't think he was a the original founders included Gordon Parks.
Mhm.
These were people who did the time. Now, he had beauty products that were amazing, wildly successful.
Mhm.
But when it comes to editorial and speaking to Black women, it takes a special knowledge to do it and
Mhm.
do it right. And
Mhm.
so I think that's what you're seeing now.
Like that's not I can even envision that, right? And also to think about too with Shea Moisture, wildly popular. However, it got bought by a mainstream brand and now it's very different.
Yep.
So now Essence is being bought by someone who's not really familiar with the publication world. And now Essence has turned into something very different. So how did that contribute to your exit from there?
So, the good news is that when I started at Essence, the president, we started around the same time, and there was a couple bumps in the beginning with, her and I, in the sense that she didn't know me, I didn't know her. I didn't have a bump with her. She had a bump with me because I told you I'm very competitive. I'm very about my business, and and um a lot of people, unfortunately, I can't say a lot of people. If you are not in the sales world, if you are not in what it takes, listen, I was pitching some of my proposals were a lot of my proposals were seven-figure proposals.
Oh, wow.
And I was trained. Now I will say to they may have had a little bit of truth in what they were saying, but I was trained by very successful men.
Hmm.
We used to have to take Tony Robbins annual training courses. Like it was not a game, right? And so saying all that to say, the president who we basically grew together at the company, she came from Time Inc. She was in finance, I want to say, in Time Inc. And groomed by Dick Parsons, who just passed away, rest in peace. One of the best business minds, Black business minds that we have ever seen. But anyway, we grew together. And so when the sale was about to happen, there were some things, that were shared with me about the changes that were upcoming or pending changes. And I don't know who's watching. So let me just say this. I was tapped on the shoulder about an opportunity to basically be downsized out of the company, which was an option at the time, but still with my full tenure, right? Because I don't know if people know, when a company gets bought, the new owners, it's like you're starting from zero. You are now, those 25 years that you may have had at one company, when that company gets sold, you have one day from the time you start under the new. So the name changed too. It was no longer Essence Communications. It was Essence Ventures. It was completely owned by somebody else. And so long story short, it was basically time, because I would have been phased out. That they were getting, rid of the top salaries, some of the top salaries, to streamline. They needed to, that's corporate. So you look at where you can basically, they say trim the fat, but I still was, salesperson of the year. I had just won what Time Inc. calls the Artemis Award, which is each brand has salespeople. To get this award, you get a trip out the country, all this stuff. Whoa. Exactly. But again, when you're looking at dollars and cents and where you can cut, you could bring somebody new in to cover, my list at a fraction of, the salary, with a whole different terms. And so me and another rep kind of fit that bill. And so we were given, the heads up, like, this is what's going to happen. And so
did you kind of envision, or did you kind of see the writing on the wall that was about to happen to you?
So it's weird, because someone told me that I kept saying to them that Essence won't be here long. Even with the sale, even with somebody, I knew like there was going to be an impending sale, because Time Inc. wanted to, they were spinning off multiple titles. It wasn't just Essence. They were spinning off multiple titles, and Essence fell in that. And so a friend of mine was like, you just kept saying Essence isn't going to be here long. So did I envision it? Like, I think my intuition knew it was definitely happening sooner than later. But I think my affinity for the brand didn't want it to be real. Like, I still wanted this brand to be successful, to still be, where Black women turned for support, for encouragement, for, for information that they're not getting other places. Remember, Ebony at this point was not even around as a brand. Well, the name was print. There was no print, and they had no events, so I think at this time they were just digital. They have since brought back a print version and some events, but yeah. So I did feel it coming, but it was time. It was, God will push you out of situations that you can't get out of yourself. And I think that, because my mental, and at this time, I think we discussed the last time, my mom had a stroke. and lived
Mhm.
in a whole different state. Now, the
Right.
good news is what I was going to say about the president of my company. She looked out for me so much. I spent 3 months in South Carolina, never had to fill out an FMLA form.
Oh.
Was like, do you need corporate housing? What can we do? Basically.
Ooh.
So yeah. So again, it was like things like that you just don't get other places, right? So
Right.
even when I'm like, oh, I got to get out of here, and I
Mhm.
was also, being courted by other companies. It's part of the process when you're in sales for a long time. People try to sway you because if you show that you could stay in a print a media
Mhm.
environment for over 10 years, then
Mhm.
you have cachet. There's some
Right.
value, and people want to pull you. And it was never a good opportunity that came, my way. So saying all that to say, um, it was time. It was time, and God knew it was time, and Kim knew it was time, but Kim wasn't going to act on it because Kim is thinking, God bless me with this, and if I act on
Right.
it, I won't get blessed again. My prayers won't get answered. And so that's where the mind thing started. I wasn't
Mhm.
sleeping.
Mm. You weren't
Toxic.
sleeping?
No, I was getting maybe 2 hours of sleep a night, 2.5 hours of sleep.
Oh my god, I can't even imagine that. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. What
Yeah.
what was going on? What were you thinking about?
My mind was just always racing. Like I didn't want to go to maybe I didn't want to go to sleep to have to wake up to go to the office. Maybe there were so many things that were so different from the world that I loved when I first
Mhm.
entered in the first, few years.
Mhm.
Um and it wasn't, the dream. It was no longer the dream that
Yeah,
I had for myself at this place. It
and it
was
was
now
hard to let it go. It was hard
it
to let
was
go of the
so
dream.
hard. It was so hard. Like, but
Mhm.
I knew I should have. I
Yeah,
knew I should have.
yeah, but in the moment you didn't because you felt like you would be, discounting what God had provided for you, and so once the sale happened, it was like, "Okay, God, okay, I get it now. I'm getting, permission to leave this situation," right? So,
Exactly.
yeah, in addition to sleeping difficulties, did you have any other physical, mental health challenges during that time?
So it would be hard for me to just put it on the job because I told you my mom had a stroke, right?
Yes, yes.
So it would be hard for me to put any mental or emotional issues on the job. I
Mhm.
was dealing with doctors that literally I mean, listen, I could do a whole book on this healthcare. Oh, shoot. Sorry. I got my little fan here blowing air just in case. This light right here is literally,
Hot.
um, yes. And so I could do a whole book on the healthcare industry and how warped they are. And if you do not have an
Mhm.
advocate, you're screwed,
So
basically.
you're
And
dealing
so,
with the stress of your mom having a stroke, she's in South Carolina, dealing with healthcare, and then all the stuff at the job too. And
exactly.
on 2 hours of sleep.
And 2 hours of sleep. 2 hours
Woo!
of sleep. Yeah. And
Wow.
and that, sometimes I've gone with no sleep before and been
Oh,
able to make it through the day. Yeah. So I've said this in my community, like coffee doesn't wake me up. I drink coffee because I like the taste of coffee now. But I could drink a cup of coffee before I go to bed and fall asleep. Like I
oh
don't
my gosh.
so,
Wow. So you were just like on adrenaline, basically.
basically,
Okay,
basically. And
okay.
so yeah, so I definitely had some issues of so I was severely anemic and didn't know it until I went to the doctor for my physical. And
Mhm,
it was right before Essence Festival time,
mhm,
before my last Essence Festival. And
mhm.
he was like, we're about to do a transfusion on you. And I'm
It was
like,
that
well,
bad? Oh my gosh.
the hematologist said he said I had the lowest ferritin or whatever it was. It was a 2 and it should have been a 14, whatever that number
Woo!
is. But my doctor, who I adore, he said, um, because we were talking, I was like, I have a flight on Wednesday. Yeah, because the 4th may have been that Saturday that you're at. Anyway, I have a flight on Wednesday, and we were just talking, and so he was like, "Yeah, I don't think you're gonna make that flight." I'm like, yeah, I have to make the flight." And so he's like, "Yeah, no, we're about to do a transfusion on
Wow.
you." I was like, "You are not about to do a transfusion on me. You are not." So this is our conversation. He was like, "I don't think you understand, Kim. I don't even understand how you made it here today." He said,
Oh,
"You haven't gotten dizzy. You haven't passed out. You have," like, he's asking me all these questions. I'm like, "No, no." He said, "You haven't felt weak?" I said, "If I, go too long without eating or something, I may, feel weak." And he explained my numbers. I can't remember what
mhm.
the numbers were. But saying all that to say, I was like, "Listen, I'm not getting a transfusion. So what's plan B?" He said, "Listen," he said, "I wouldn't normally recommend this." He said, "But we'll give it a try." He said, "But if I promise you, if it doesn't work, I am not going to okay you getting on a flight." He was
Wow.
like, your hemoglobin and your ferritin and whatever else is far too low for you to even be standing up."
Let me ask you a question, Kim.
Uh-huh.
Why were you so resistant to, besides, okay, so you have a flight. Was a flight for a work related thing?
Yeah, it was to the Essence Festival.
Okay.
Yes.
So is that why you didn't want to get the transfusion? Because you had a work obligation?
No, I'm I never go off of first opinions, first of all, for
Ah,
something as serious. I
got it.
always get a second opinion for something that serious.
Yes, yes, yes.
And I've always been that way. And
Mhm.
so, and he's the one that actually told me that. Like, he's one of the people that was like, "Never go off a first opinion, always get a second opinion. Your
Mhm.
insurance will cover it, blah, blah, blah."
Mhm. Uh-huh.
And so I said, "So what's the other option?" Long story short, he said, "Well, I could do iron infusions, but if they don't work, I won't approve you." We did it, it worked. But again, I'm walking around functioning when I should not have been functioning,
Right.
and something could have happened. He was like, "My heart could stop. I could have a heart attack." Long story short, all of this, I believe, was part of, or came from, was a result of me internalizing the stress and not dealing with some of the stress. Now, I don't believe
Right.
this had anything to do with my mother,
Mhm.
but me be getting that low without being able to acknowledge what was going on, I believe had to do with the stresses of the work, you know.
Yes, the stress, and also because you got the second opinion, they were like, "Yeah, you still need to take the iron stuff." But even after you got the not the iron infusion, you still went to the fest because that was your work responsibility, right?
I had to. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
sometimes the work obligations kind of overshadows our health when we make
100%.
decisions sometimes. Yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. So can you walk us through your like the pivot from Essence? So what happened? So they said that we were gonna help you out. Like what was the ending? What was the ending from Essence?
So the ending was I took a package. I was offered um an exit package, and again, they were going to, this is how it was phrased. You could take the package now, negotiate it, and walk away, based on whatever terms are. Or you
Mhm.
can wait, the sale can happen, and 2 weeks later, you can get a pink slip with
And
nothing.
nothing. Ooh, wow.
So that's what happened.
Okay.
I was able, the package was decent. It was good. It was
Okay.
good. And like I said, my goal then was to be more hands-on, spend more time in South Carolina with my mom, be more hands-on, and also travel. Like, those were the decompression was traveling. And that year, boy, did I travel. And that includes, everything from South Carolina to Thailand to Beijing to um, Bermuda. Like, the list just goes on. And I literally had to, like, shake off all of that energy, that
Right.
toxicity, all of that. But the
Mhm.
point is, like, I was living through it
Mhm.
and functioning, but it could have been like the angels were keeping me together, let's just say.
Yeah,
Because
it did take a toll on you.
I later talked to my OBGYN about my numbers, and she was like, "Oh, you think this is a game?" She was like, "You must not understand that this leads to heart attacks,
Oh.
strokes in your sleep. You
Oh,
thinking you may just pass out and faint in the parking lot and someone to pick you up and you'll be okay." And she started explaining all of the potential risk of having critically low iron levels.
wow.
And
Wow.
yeah, so I was just I needed to get rid of all of that and focus on my health too. I
Yeah.
literally listen, I don't support them now, but Soul Cycle was my best friend. I was in Soul Cycle a few times a week. I
Okay.
was exercising every day.
Uh-huh.
I was and I wasn't doing that either when I was in the worst part of the toxic environment.
Mhm.
Because I was staying at work to work till 8 o'clock.
And you were
Take a car
commuting
home.
forever, right? So the commute between the commute, the work, you don't have any time to work out. So I think this is a real good
Mhm.
lessons learned for us as Black women that our health comes first, right? And no matter what the work obligation is, sometimes we'll say, "Oh, but I gotta do this project. I gotta." But you've had other doctors tell you, girl, no, this is really serious. Don't do that again. So then when you pivoted from Essence, you said, you know what, I'm going to take a break to travel. Can you share with us how to travel? Like, how did you even come up with, I'm going to take time to travel? How did that come up for you?
So I had been a traveler for many many years. So my mom introduced me to travel when I was in high school. She sent me to Hawaii for my high school graduation gift. I was mad because I wanted a car. I was so upset. I wanted a car. She sent me to Hawaii. She didn't go. She sent
Oh,
me with her friend's church. Her friend's church was giving a trip,
okay.
and her friends was bringing her and when I say friend, it was a neighbor. A neighbor's church was giving a trip. The neighbor was bringing her granddaughter who was my age. And so my mother was like, "Oh, I could afford to send my daughter. Can't take the whole family, but I'm gonna send my daughter." But she knew what she was doing, changed my life. Seeing pink
Wow.
sand beaches, black sand beaches, water I have never seen so blue, so green, opened my eyes. And so that started my love of travel. Anytime I had a chance to travel, I did, even
Okay.
before
Okay.
the layoff. So I knew that was my warm place. That was the
Mm.
place where I just felt at peace.
Ah.
I went places where I learned about more herbalistic health practices like Grenada. Like I did things that um, were good for my soul and
Yeah.
caused no stress, no drama. And one of the things I say in my community, or one of the videos that I shared, was, listen, the 5 things we need to start doing right now is to ask ourselves 5 questions. I'm not going to go over all 5, but the first one is,
Mhm.
what makes you unhappy? What and or who makes you unhappy?
Good
How
point.
can you eliminate or
Yeah.
at least drastically reduce? Because everything you can't eliminate right away. I get that.
Mhm,
But we
mhm,
start with the unhappy because that's where the
mhm.
stress, the toxins, the cancers, the all the health issues live.
Yes.
Next is, what and or who makes you happy?
Mhm,
How can you increase
mhm,
or at least um, stay consistent in doing those things or keeping those people around? And for me,
mhm.
travel is on that list very high, if
Wow,
not
look
number
what your
one.
mom did. So you thinking you wanted a car, and she's like, "No, I got something bigger and better for you," and it planted the seed about something that really gives you joy. And what I really, 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 really want people to hear is when we are in situations, so we need to be honest with ourselves about how we feel. Sometimes like, oh, like you said, like I'm not feeling this way, but I should not feel this way because God provided this blessing to me. And so there's a disconnect between how we really feel and our actual experience.
Mm-hmm.
So what does your life look like now, Kim? Like as you were able to pivot, like so you were able to travel. What does your life look like now? And tell us about all the things you're doing now, the travel, Kim's with the gems, the gemstones, all of that. Tell us about that, please.
It looks as close to freedom as I have ever been. Like it looks like I am prioritizing the things I share in my community. So travel, health, and finances are the topics that we cover in my community. Um, and I prioritize those to give me not just a feeling, but a life that is as free as I think I could be right now, because I do have obligations that I still need to take care of in South Carolina. So I'm not just free bird where I could just do whatever I want, or otherwise I'd be boycotting winter someplace right now and not dealing with the snowstorm that we have coming. But what does it feel like? It feels like freedom, and the part of the freedom is also being able to sit and have God still direct my path, right?
Mm-hmm.
That whole Stay Ready movement that was launched on November 10th and went for 56, 57 days straight came from me being still
Yeah.
and listening and thinking like, okay,
Mhm.
I'll go on for 7 days and we need to know, we need our passports. Now I started this on November 10th, right?
Wow.
I now see, and I'm so thankful, other people that look like us ringing the bell. Like
Yeah.
we may soon be in a situation where somebody asks us, show me your papers, show me that you're a US citizen.
Right.
Or we may end up in a paddy wagon or something else, getting round up. And
Mhm.
so this to me was nothing but divine calling. And had I still been in a space where I had to clock in every day and, you know, suffer in silence, based in silence for a check, then
Mhm.
I don't think I would have gotten the messages that I have. So I have a few communities. I have Investing for Independence, which is my financial community. It's a very small community that was launched back in 2022. It's all
Mhm.
about, the stock market, learning the stock market, making sure that you know where your money is going, making sure you understand compound interest is
Mhm.
real and it is a beautiful thing. And
Yes.
many we're not taught about that. We put our money in a savings account and let it sit there, getting pennies on the dollar.
Right.
You can be getting 10 to 20 to 30 to 40% return,
Mhm.
on average. And
Mhm.
so that's Investing for Independence. I have the Black Travel and Culture community. Like I
Mhm.
said, we educate, we inform, we inspire people. We also host group trips. To really, really prioritize travel, because I know how it's changed my life and I want
Mhm.
it to change other people. And it's affordable. People and it's even more affordable now than when I first started. It's easier to do comparative pricing, right? Before you used to have to pick up the telephone, call and ask how much a ticket costs. If they had a seat, you paid for it if you had the money, but now you get to comparative shop. You get to get, what are those called? Those flight deals, those when they do a mistake on the pricing. Anyway, glitch fares. It's called glitch
Oh,
fares. And
what
so
is that again? What is it? What's a glitch fare?
glitch fare,
What is
yeah.
that?
Sometimes the airlines will mistakenly say a flight is $200 round trip to Dubai. And if you book that trip, they're supposed to honor it,
Well,
right?
how do you find a glitch? How you find? Is there a
There's
trick or something? How
I'll
do you
give you
find it?
one, secretflying.com. Yeah, secretflying.com is a popular one, but there's other ones. Now they don't happen every single day of the week, but if you're in the right network, you'll get the book your flight now.
Wow, I
Yeah,
never
and
heard of that
now
before.
they do sometimes. If it's like, say, if it goes too long and they don't notice it, and let's just say they sell out 60% of the flight, 50%, they can, it can get canceled. But
Okay.
I've had luck with it. And I know many other
Wow.
people who have. And so, yeah, so, just being part of community, and now with the gemstone community, the Kim with the Gems community, and the movement that we have now, trying to keep each other aware of what's going on, keeping us, you know, it's kind of like our movement, so to speak, against what's going on in this country now, and making sure that we stay ready so we don't have to get ready.
Yeah.
All of this is feeding my soul the way first getting that job at Essence fed my soul, the way first getting the job with Hal Jackson at WBLS fed my soul. This is this is where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
This is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah. You know what? It's like you're as much as liberating, like you're liberating people to think about options, and you cheer them along the way. Cause I've seen you cheer people when they get their passport and their residency, and right. It's like there's other ways to live. And I think for so many Black women or Black people, we have not considered living abroad as an option. Okay. So maybe we'll talk just a little bit about the options for Black. Oh, wait. Before I forget, your communities that you're talking about, who are these communities for?
So my communities are for Black people, right?
Okay.
So I do not distinguish. Disclaimer, I have 2 brothers. I was an only girl.
Okay.
My father, 2 brothers, adore. And I do not subscribe to the notion that we cannot coexist and coexist peacefully with each other. I do not. I enjoy the company of men. I enjoy having girlfriends. I enjoy us collectively getting together. I love a good spades game. I love it. And so my community will always be for Black people. It just so happens with most things, like Black women tend to show up in stronger numbers, but we do have some gemstones in our community that are men and support it. And so my community is for Black people who want to get into community, who want to learn, and not only just learn, but offer advice based on their knowledge to the community. So I can only share areas that I have knowledge in, and those areas are in finance. I started investing when I was 18 years old. I worked at a stock brokerage 18. I worked at a brokerage company before I went away to college, was trained by the president of this brokerage firm. So I learned about stock from him, not from my parents. I learned about real estate from my parents, stock market from him, and I proceeded down that path. I've always invested. Get a paycheck, you invest in the market. And so the things that I've learned along the way for the decades that I've been investing, I impart those areas of wisdom. And I will say most of the successful strategies have come from men. In my travel community, I drop whatever gems that I'm able to about, hacks, deals, best places for us to go, places that we should stay away from, truth, fact versus fiction, all of those things. And then health-wise, like I said, I, have my bouts, or I have had my bouts with, slipping by the wayside when I've been in like some type of depressed state, or, dealing with family issues, primarily, my mom. And, but I know how to get out of that. I know how to bounce back. And I study a lot. Like I said, I went to Grenada to learn more about herbs and what each herb means for our body. And people need to understand that. And even Dr. Bobby Price says this in his videos, 50% of all prescription medication is based off of natural herbs. What do they call it? The compound is formulated based off of natural herbs that grow in the wild, in the forest, or wherever. And so when we learn how to utilize those to our benefit, we can, live more optimal lives. And
True. And something you told Dr. Roche and I was like, that is so dope. How you said that you gift the young people in your family, what you said, stocks?
passports and stocks. So that's pretty much the only gifts I do now. Unless it's a baby who, I'll give a toy because they could care less about Auntie Kim or Grandma Kim giving them a 2 shares of stock to Nvidia. Like they could care less about that, right? Or whatever, or starting their portfolio. So I give giving them a passport, right? So unless you're a baby or a toddler, that's all you pretty much get. You'll get, I'll let you, even if you're of a certain age, you can tell me what companies you like, what stocks you like. I have a whole video of my niece. We're at Fidelity Investments. She is being trained by her broker because she has a portfolio.
Wow.
We have to normalize this stuff. She'll be 7 next month. We have to normalize this stuff. And so, yeah, those are the only gifts that I give. Now, I've wasted a lot of money for many years on other things. But realizing that I shouldn't just be investing for myself.
Yeah.
Let me start normalizing. We're going to talk about stocks. Like me and my niece, we were in there. She bought shares of what's that? The thing on the kids' phones and they play.
A Snapchat?
No. It's a game. Oh my gosh. I can't think of it right now, but you have to buy credits and every kid plays these games.
Okay.
Anyway, so she bought shares of stock in that. And so, yeah, it's definitely been another divine calling for me to start focusing on investing and talking money.
Yeah.
It wasn't talked to when I was a kid. Like
That's
that was grown folk business.
Yes. Right. It's paying it forward. And grown folks business in the sense that I don't remember my parents talking to me about investments and stuff, right? So you're exposing young people to financial wealth and ways to get financial wealth. Oh, is it called Candy Crush?
No. It is. I'm gonna tell you in a second. Go ahead.
So it's exposing young people to financial wealth or opportunities for that. Just like your mom planted the seed about travel, you're planting the seed about investment and wealth. So beautiful. That is so beautiful what you're doing. Yeah. So Kim, the
Roblox, she just put it in. So good. It's Roblox.
Okay. I didn't even heard that. Okay. So the possibilities, yes, the possibilities for Black people to move abroad. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because when you did that whole stay ready so you can get ready, because after election stuff, I think some people were like, whoa, right? But I loved how you went right into action. Like, okay, this is what we need to do. This is what we need to do, right? So some Black people may not feel that moving abroad is an option. Can you please just briefly share why it may be an option for us?
Yeah, and I truly understand why many of us feel that way, because it was not, for most of us, it wasn't presented as an option.
Right.
I went to college with people that have lived in so many countries, or their families, their parents have, because they wanted to, because they wanted a better life for whatever reason. And people, and when I say that, these weren't American people. Let me preface there. These were people from the continent. So I went to Howard. These are people from the continent, or people who were born in London or Europe or whatever, some form of Europe, that understood the value of understanding that when people ask you, where are you from? Like, it should be, I'm from the earth, not from the earth. Like, I don't claim, you don't claim 100% roots to any one place, because the world is truly a teaching ground. It is some place where you will find yourself like you have never found yourself before. You will realize that everything that they have told you about travel, or certain countries, I should say, is pure BS, nonsensical once you get there. And so I want us to just challenge our minds to start out seeking out other communities where people that look like you do travel. Hear their stories, listen to how it's changed them. Anthony Bourdain has this amazing quote, and so does Maya Angelou. But one of the things he says, and I don't remember it verbatim, but travel may not always be pretty. Sometimes it may even be ugly. It may make you cry, but it will forever change you. Like it will
Mhm.
forever change you. And when
Mhm.
you learn, I can always tell a person who has never ever traveled outside of the country before. I can always. And let me be more specific. I can
Okay.
always tell a white person
Mhm.
who has
Okay.
never ever traveled out of the country before, because their views on acceptance of other cultures and race is this big.
Okay.
They have a sense of entitlement that you don't want to be around.
Mm.
They think they're better than every other country. If you're especially a white person from the US who has never been outside of the country, think they're better than any other country in the
Right.
world. And don't realize that some of these countries, you go to some of these countries and see their technological advances, it looks like we're in a third world country. Like US can appear to be in a third world country. So for
Mhm.
no other reason, give it a chance and see how it will impact you. I did a group trip in May to Playa del Carmen, a
Okay.
scouting in May. One of my best friends since sixth grade went with me on this trip. She had
Mhm.
never been to Mexico. Now she's been to Africa, the Caribbean. She's Bayesian. She's from Barbados, so she
Mhm.
understands how beautiful the Caribbean is, right?
Mhm.
But through the news and everything else, her mind thought, played tricks on her to think
Right.
that Mexico was less than.
Mm.
She now wants to move to Playa del Carmen.
Wow. Wow.
She's like, Kim, she had made this quote while we were there. It was a joke, so take it.
Mhm.
I don't even know if I want it because people be getting so sensitive. But she said to
It's
me,
a joke, everybody.
"Huh?"
I said it's a joke, everybody. Get ready.
It's a
Okay.
joke. But we were out eating one time. She said, Kim, you have never led me astray to this day. She said, I would have never thought about coming to Mexico and even thinking that this could be a place to live. She said, girl, you tell me, come on, girl, let's go check out hell. She was like, I'm coming with you to hell. Like she definitely was so mind blown. Now she's very Christian. She
Yeah.
actually is a minister as well, but it was a joke. Like she was like,
Yes.
I would have never believed this
You
part
open your eyes.
existed. Exactly.
Yes.
Because of
Yes.
what we saw. So for those who are joining and don't know, I also have my Mexican residency and plan to spend a lot more time there. I do want to bop. I'm a bopper. Like I'm a person who likes to see other places. There's other countries that I need to go to. Like I feel I have a calling to go to, but Mexico will probably be more of a home base for me. And
Mm.
so I just encourage and implore anyone to give it a try. And it may not be Mexico for you, right? But just don't listen to what other people say. Like
Yeah.
I see so many videos talking about the negativity of Italy. Italy is one of my favorite places to visit. Italy, I've
Mm.
never had a racist encounter in Italy,
Mm.
ever. And when I tell you, I've gotten so much love and people helping, like trying to help. And I've been to Milan, I've been to Florence, I've been to Tuscany, I've been to Rome. Like I've been to multiple cities. And now I'm not saying that it doesn't exist.
Right.
I'm
Right.
just saying that go and experience it for you. And a lot of times the energy that you give can be returned, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so I want people to explore the world, not only from a vacationer's point of view. I
Right.
want people to go and think, oh, could I see myself here? Like, is this someplace that offers the things that I like? Rather, it's Switzerland because you like to ski. Rather, it's, Italy because you love Italian food. Rather, it's Thailand, one of my favorite places because of the what's the word I'm looking for with Thailand? Thailand is one of those places that people are just like, unless they're other tourists now, let's get that out the way. But most Thai people are some of the warmest, friendliest people. La la la, they're just about life, and we want to help you with life. Like it is just so many places where you can get a better feeling
Mm.
than the feeling that you may be experiencing now. So I
Yeah.
know it's not for everybody. I will say that. Listen, you need a passport. So that's why we
Yes.
start at the basics.
Yes.
Please, nothing else. And if you can, because I know there's some people that don't qualify for getting passports, but if you are eligible to get a passport and you don't have one, prioritize a way to get one. It's $160, y'all. It's
Mhm.
$160. It may be some more if you expedite. Get your passport. And the other thing, make sure if you have a passport, check the renewal date. Things are about to change in this
Yeah.
country,
Yeah. Yeah.
including the U.S. Department of State, which oversees the passport issuance. If you have less than a year on that passport, renew it. Get it done now before the changes are implemented. It's going to take them a second, right, to dig deep and re-gut a Department of State. But
Mhm.
go ahead. And so that's, that was the message that God put in my heart to start talking about on the channel. We
Mhm.
need to travel more. We need to open our eyes more. We need to see how we are so much more alike than different across this
Mhm.
globe. We need
Mhm.
to see the lies that they have been telling us. Africa was the last place I think I went to visit, and it was because of the lies that they told us growing up.
Wow.
The starving kids, the jungles, it was so many,
The
not realizing.
propaganda.
Exactly. Exactly. So
Yeah.
if you can, please do yourself a favor, prioritize you
Mhm.
and your family. I had 3 consultation calls today for people who are ready to leave, had never thought about leaving before, all 3 of them never thought about moving, but because of what's going on in this country, they
Wow.
don't want to deal with it no more. A couple of them are retirement age,
Mhm.
and they're like, I don't want to spend the rest of my life living
With
in
this
this
nonsense.
chaos.
Right. Right.
Exactly. And so
Right.
don't wait until, if you can, if you don't wait. And when you see these nomads, especially these young nomads just popping around, living their best lives and happy as a lark, listen, you will understand. And
Yeah.
you don't have to be young to do it. It's never too late. It's never
Yeah.
too. Yes,
I
Tarzan,
really
thank you so much.
yeah, I appreciate what you said about recognizing the propaganda and how we internalize those social messages that can influence us. But what you're saying is exposure is important, being open minded, and the rush or Black people now seeing that living outside the country might be an option because of what's happening in the world, right? What's happening in the United States, right?
Right.
So I saw a question, Ashley. I know we're going to go through the chat, but I saw a question. Do you all think hell's going to break loose tomorrow, after tomorrow? So let's talk a little bit about post-election stuff, right? We've been alluding to it, but what are
Before
your
we go on to that, Dr. Kamani, can I just put a pin in saying, when it
yes?
comes to moving abroad, this isn't new to us as a culture, right? Think of people like Langston Hughes. Think of
Mhm,
people like Billie Holiday. Think of people
mhm,
like James Baldwin. Think
right.
of people like um, Maya Angelou. Like
Mhm,
all of these people, Harry Belafonte, have lived abroad, have
mhm,
lived in another country to be treated like humans, right? And there's places outside of the US where you will really feel what it's like to be a human, like, and not just a person of color,
mhm,
or just looked at as your color first. And
mhm,
also, when you think about Harriet Tubman, last year I went on a freedom trail in Niagara Falls and
mhm,
learned about how, oh, the Underground Railroad didn't stop in the US, y'all. The Underground Railroad went into Canada, it went into Mexico. Like,
mhm, mhm,
we have been doing this. So don't let anybody make you think that you're giving up your land, or you're not being, whatever they're saying, wait for reparations, whatever they're saying. Listen, don't let them get in your head like that, because we've been
right.
doing this. This is nothing new. I'm sorry. So we could get back to
Well,
the.
also that one that our ancestors went through all they went through, not for us to, I think, suffer anywhere, and to let us know that we have options, right? That we don't shouldn't have to feel like we have to give our lives for people who are harming us. And when you talked about moving abroad, I'm so glad you reminded us of so many Black people who have lived abroad and for what reasons. And to also know that you can move and you can inform your decision in community, right? Just
Yeah.
like your community, you really help people make informed decisions. Like, don't just up and leave, go somewhere and you
Right.
don't know anything about it, right? Like, be in community so that you know what's happening. So, we're going to talk just briefly about this comment, this question, and then we're going to start winding down soon.
Mhm.
So, do you think all hell's going to break loose after tomorrow?
Oh, you want me to start that off?
Yes.
Well, listen, yeah, for anyone here that's just meeting me for the first time, I did a whole live today. I did a walk and talk live about conspiracy theories, right? Because so many people are quick to say things are conspiracy theories, when in actuality, if you pay attention, they're only conspiracy theories because if you believe what it could really be, it's scary. It's
Mhm,
scary. And so
mhm,
do I think oh absolutely. I'm expecting New York. I said it today in my live. I believe this week, starting on Tuesday, ICE will be back badder and bigger than we've ever seen them. They are starting, I believe, in sanctuary cities.
mhm,
There's a reason why our mayor of New York just came back from Mar-a-Lago yesterday, and had a press conference, and there were certain questions he didn't answer about the roundups and the migrants, which makes me know that there's something very ugly on the horizon. Right
mhm,
now, do I believe people need to be documented 100%? Like, I can't go to Mexico and just sit there without a visa, and if I get swooped up by immigration, not be sent back. Like,
mhm,
that's the way the laws work. But
mhm.
the way I think they plan to market this, the way they plan to show this on the news, is not going to be pretty. I believe they're going in schools, they're going in churches, they're going to drag people out of jobs. Like, I believe that's the first thing we're going to visually see because he has to make good on this promise. Day
Right.
one, starting Tuesday. They have been saying this for so long. And I've been hearing things from sources that starting on Tuesday, we will see some things. And 30 days in, it is going to be brutal.
Mm,
And so, yes, I do. And that's just one area. I mean, the country is the kingdom is falling.
mhm, mhm.
And so, if you're not part of the 1%, 10%, yeah, that's my thought. So, what about you, Dr. Kamani? What do you think?
My thought is that there's so many things that could potentially happen. And I think it's important for us to be informed about what's happening, but don't get overly consumed to the point where you can't do anything else, right? So
Right.
you can't even think about choices. You can't do stuff for your own wellness. And so I told myself that even though I'm not happy about what's happening, I refuse to let this situation, rob me of everything, right? Rob me of my health. So I'm watching this stuff all the time, or I'm talking about it all the time, or I'm doing things that this situation is having control over me. So we don't know what's going to happen. More than likely, some things are about to go down. And it's important for us to really prioritize ourselves. Like we saw after the election, Black women, we're trying to save everybody. Save yourself, okay? Save yourself and be prepared. Like Kim has talked about so much. Be prepared. Have
Mhm.
your passport. Know about what your options are. And this is just a very important time for us to really, again, I cannot stress this enough, to prioritize ourselves and be healthy. Be
Mhm.
healthy, okay?
Mhm.
So let's be informed, but don't get overly consumed with what's about to happen, okay? Because we don't know for sure. But yeah, and I'm from Chicago, and I heard that they're going to New York and Chicago. I heard
Mhm.
that's their first stops, right? So just be mindful and watch yourself, okay? And also, please don't watch the inauguration. I think that's going to be a lot of anxiety provoking stuff going on. And don't take the bait about what's going on. Like today, I heard about Snoop and Nelly and Soldier Boy and Rick Ross, performing all kind of stuff. Like I'm aware of it, okay?
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
I also have to do other things so I don't get consumed with that kind of stuff.
Right.
Okay. Don't take the bait. That's stuff to distract you. Don't get distracted. There's a lot of very serious stuff that's about to happen. Okay. Um,
Right.
so Kim, before I read the community chat, if there's a Black woman right now and she's watching this discussion and she can resonate with anything we've talked about, and let's say she's experiencing the Sunday scaries too. Maybe she's off tomorrow, from Martin Luther King Day, right? But it's the Sunday scaries for Tuesday. She's like, oh God, I want to go back, right? And she's having some kind of feelings about the election fallout. What words of wisdom could you offer to her?
What words of wisdom? Listen, I will say this, it's a lot. I will say that it's hard to turn away from the news. I will say that it's okay to be concerned. And I especially emphasize that for women or families that have children that have to leave the house every day, right?
Mhm.
So I will acknowledge those feelings because they are real, and why I also bought them Entenmann's cakes today. I haven't had Entenmann's cakes in I don't know how long, but I do know that I'm going to need something soothing, right?
Yes.
But the most important thing that I can say is stay in community.
Mhm. Mhm.
Stay in community, a community where you feel heard and seen and that your feelings are validated.
Mhm.
A
Mhm.
lot of us are, I'll say it again, suffering in silence,
Yeah.
right? A lot
Yeah.
of us are holding in whatever feelings. We may be married to someone who, men aren't the best emotional creatures anyway, right? And
Mhm.
so, and vice versa. Some women aren't either. So if you are experiencing that where you feel like you have nowhere to turn, I
Mhm.
promise you, there's a community out there for
Mhm.
you, and they're more accessible now than ever. And
True.
so I encourage everyone to be in community, which is why I'm going live every day this week. I wasn't
Wow.
supposed to. I'm going live every day this week because I do know there's people out there that are feeling a certain way. And I'm not going to go do long lives, but it's just to do a check-in, to check
Mhm.
in and let everyone know that we're in this together and that we're
Yeah.
going to be okay. And
Yes.
turn off the corporate media news. I will say that. Turn off the mass media news because you're not going to get the truth anyway.
Mhm.
You're
Mhm.
not gonna get actual factual information. You're going to get sensationalized information that's going to
Right.
start in the most advertisers so that they can make the most money.
Right.
So if you do opt to find news sources, do non-traditional, go to the Associated Press, look
Mhm.
overseas, like what is that? France 24/7. Like look at outside news sources to get the real information of what's happening here. We
Mhm.
just saw the game they played with TikTok, right? There's
Yeah.
there's a reason. There's a reason they're doing that to control
Absolutely.
that
Yeah.
information. And so definitely try to minimize your news intake, but understanding you may be in a zone where you need to know what's going on, but just make
Exactly.
sure you're getting information from the right sources.
Mhm.
I also say pray. Listen, I don't care what your religion is, pray.
Yeah.
Pray, ask for clarity, ask for guidance, ask for his help in getting you through. And if
Mhm.
you call her she, whatever, whoever you pray to,
Mhm.
pray and ask for him to banish whatever these dark spirits are that are having you in an anxious state, that are having you
Mhm.
in a fearful state. And understanding that if you believe in him and the word, we will be okay. And one of
Mhm.
my favorite books, try to the Four Agreements. Let me tell you something. The Four Agreements is the one book I wish I would have had in high school and been mandated to read every year because it is a book that will, in addition to the Bible, read your Bible, absolutely, but it's four simple things that will keep you grounded. And I'm not going to give the Four Agreements away, but check it out. It's a real
Yeah.
Google it, check it out. And if there's another book that brings you peace, but again, starting with the first question, and I'll leave it on this. The first question that we ask in my community, what, who, and what makes you unhappy?
Mm.
How can you eliminate completely or at least reduce it in your life? And so
Mhm.
when you start feeling those feelings of unhappiness, angst, get to the root of what it is, and then try to
Mhm.
eliminate it. And it may be
Yeah,
this, it may be this country that you have to
it may
eliminate.
be. It may be. It may be. You know, you said two things. Oh my God, I keep saying I'm gonna wind down. You keep saying something really good. I can't help myself. Okay, so I want to go back to something a little bit. You said before, was God guiding us? And that is so important. You know, like I start my day every day. You know, God, let me know where you want me to go, and I'm open to hearing where you want me to go. Right. The other thing is when we're in this time, it's so important for us to pray, be informed, but also be prepared. Be prepared
Yes.
for whatever might go down and be in community of other people who are to support you. And also that means getting resources that can help you too. So if you feel like you need anything that is not serving you, and the part when you said this was golden, you said question what is around me, if it's filling me up, if it's fueling me, or if it's harming me. And if it's harming me, what do I need to do to get rid of it? And I just want to say, specifically for Black women in toxic jobs, sometimes we recognize a job is the problem, but then we try band-aid approaches, right? Eating, right?
Mhm.
Uh, buying things, going on vacation, talking about, you know, we like these band-aids, these are short-term fixes. But if you can recognize the source of the problem, try to address the source of the problem. It may take you a while to get through it, right? But start preparing for it, right? Start getting those resources together so you can get what you need, get where you need to go.
Mhm.
Okay. So I'm going to read the community chat briefly and we're going to wind down. Okay.
Okay,
Happy
sounds good.
Sunday. Day of morning. We talked about that. Yes, so true. Good evening. The dream is delayed. Right. So Martin Luther King Jr. Yes. Well, you know what? I'm going to say this. As Black people, we have never let any situation take us out. Right. And we've gone through some horrible stuff. Okay. So I don't want us to lose hope. Okay.
Yeah.
The dream is not delayed because the fact that we're still here and we're talking about options and we're still fighting and we're still going to be healthy. I don't say I wouldn't think it's delayed. I'm not gonna claim that. Okay. I'm not gonna
Right.
claim the dream is delayed. Um, okay, your community's here from Kim with the Gems. Yes. I'm holding on. Tomorrow's a new day. Hello. Yes, someone's here. Isaiah. Oh, scripture. No weapon that is fashioned against you shall prosper. This verse is a reminder that God's power and love are greater than any challenges we face. Pull out the popcorn. He will implode. Right. Right. We talked about BT and Viacom. Yes, they were jealous. Like the plantation selling off slaves when they tried to do that to Essence. That is so crazy. Essence was so like amazing.
It's the
Yes,
same,
God.
yeah. But just think about all of the brands that we had that used to be Black owned that are either no longer here or
True.
sold out and are no longer what we came to love. Yeah.
That's not by accident. That's not by
Nope,
accident.
not at all.
Yeah. Yes, God is greater who lives on the inside of us, and no weapon that is formed against us, his people shall prosper. The thing with the enemy against that is that they know we excel in everything. Yes.
100%. 100%.
Yes. Oh God, that's corporate BS. It's all that mind. Uh-huh. Yep. You were the first creators. Yes. I think that apart from the exhaustion, we are there to win, but some many knives are pointed at us. I'm exhausted. Honestly, people hate our excellence. Yes. And it's like a both and, right? So many people may, but there's also places that you can go that it's not like that. Okay. So the exhaustion, recognize exhaustion is there. But as Kim said, what is the source of the exhaustion? Okay.
Mhm.
Identify what the source of the exhaustion. If you're able to move out of that situation or prepare to move out, please do so. Okay. When people
Right.
are intimidated by your excellence, that's not the place where you should be. Okay.
Mhm.
This is why I've been working night and day to have just my own. I think most Black women at this point are just exhausted. We're done with the back and forth. Yes, I agree. I'm glad that I'm surrounded by 3 older Black women. I think it will cut down on the microaggressions, and they are no drama kind of ladies.
Oh, good.
They
Good.
do give the white boss a side eye a little. That's funny. Okay.
Good.
So
Good.
we have someone tuning in from Stanford, Connecticut. Yes.
Okay, good.
Sounds like a soap opera miniseries about what you went through. Thank you for sharing your experiences to help enlighten and empower us as Black women. You're welcome. Does Luigi ring a bell? Just so much, yeah, yeah. So much corruption, and people are hurting because of so much corruption going on. And that's what we saw with the whole thing that happened.
Mhm.
Talk about the blood issue, Kim being humble. They gave her a golden parachute. Yes, that's like driving across the country on an empty gas tank. Yeah, when your iron was low. Because of Kim, I think
Oh, Christine learned about moringa seeds. So we talk about herbal. So moringa seeds is good for iron as well. I learned that actually in Grenada as well. And she ordered hers today. Yeah. So
oh, okay.
moringa seeds comes from a plant called the tree of life. And
Mm,
it's known to cure the moringa seeds, which you can make moringa powder and put in smoothies and all of that,
mhm.
is known to cure so many ailments. And so, yeah, we talked about that, but go ahead.
Okay, so Kim just gave us another gem. Okay, everybody. Okay, pay attention to that. You don't have enough blood function to roll through your body. Blood represents your soul. Okay,
Oh,
it
well, I
seems
do now.
yeah, you do now, right? It seems like Black women have an inordinate amount of stress and toxicity in order to be professionally successful and fulfilled in many of these toxic environments. Yes, however, we can still be in environments and make money that are not. Okay. That is
100%.
again looking at what our options are. Yes, and I'm emotionally attached to the Gym Nation. Yes. Okay, talk about the game. Okay, yes, I'm emotionally attached to Gym Nation as well. I carved out time in my calendar today to be here.
Oh, thank you.
Excellent.
Oh, she's in Jordan. She lives in
What?
Jordan. Well, she's about to relocate.
OMG.
Yeah, she may be going, I think it's to Portugal, but she's in Jordan right now. So she's 8 hours ahead of us, actually. Yeah.
Wow, thank you for doing that. Oh my gosh. Yes, a citizen of the world. Yes, because I'd be twisting to win. Otherwise, I'm praying that it does not. Okay, talking about hopefully it doesn't go crazy tomorrow. Not to mention how some countries treat their people as opposed to US. They are immigrants probably, and they go to Canada or England or a place before some other place they came before the US. I think like people who haven't traveled outside the US. I saw
Oh,
a Black woman on the front lines of that march yesterday, and it made my heart sink. So I think she's talking about the Women's March, and a
oh,
lot of
I
Black women
see.
were like, don't ask us for nothing. Like, we're taking a break. But she said she saw a Black woman at the march. And
Oh,
I
wow.
just say everybody has their own choice about what they want to do. I think, again, for us as Black women collectively, it's important for us to really prioritize ourselves and not try to save other
100%.
people, particularly when other people haven't stepped up to save us. Okay.
Yep.
Um, oh, okay. You lived in Italy for a year. Okay.
Love
They have a
Italy.
different type of racism. You can talk to them about racism, and they believe me. Where in the US, they tell me I'm crazy. Well, that's
Mm,
gaslighting, right? Um,
100%.
I enjoy Italy. Sicilians also have Black blood because of Morocco so close. Yes, I saw the march on the news my time yesterday. It made my heart sad to see
Mm,
Black women participating in that nonsense. They're uneducated and don't know who they really are. Again, personal choice. Okay. I'm learning so much from living abroad. It is the opposite of what the media is telling us in America. Thank you
mhm.
for sharing that. Just so sad. I left my job for another one that I thought was going to be better, and I don't know what to do. I'm 4 months in and it still affects my mental health. Okay. Sis, this is
Mm,
a classic example. When you see that the writing's on the wall, like you're like, oh, this is bad, you need to start planning your exit strategy. Okay. So sometimes we think, well, I just got to this job. It'll look bad if I leave. I need to stay. No, you don't. Okay. Start making your exit plan. I have resources to help you. Okay. So check the description section. When you recognize it's messing with your mental health, that's not good. Okay.
and if it's messing with your mental, it's messing with your physical, and don't be like
Absolutely.
me walking around here with an empty tank
Yes.
and not knowing it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Harry Belafonte's was Indian, so he didn't come from US. So used to not being in his own country.
No, that's not true. Harry Belafonte was born in New York City. His parents are from the Caribbean. So he's an
Okay.
American citizen, born and raised in Harlem, New York, Harlem, New York. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. Okay, so somebody's suggesting that the person who's saying she left the other job to go to this job, they
Oh,
asked, can you go back to your former position? If the other position was toxic, I would say no. There's other options for you. I mean, if the other job was not toxic, maybe that might be an option. But the other job was toxic, please don't go back to the other job, okay? Explore what your other options are. Again, in the description section, I have resources for you, okay? We cannot allow this evil to paralyze us. I advise us to plant gardens, form freedom schools, and tap into our inner goddess. I like that. Yes. Okay. She said she would never go back. The other job was so
oh,
toxic.
okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
So
Good. Okay.
toxic.
Woo! I'm
Mhm.
almost at that point. I can't leave because I haven't been able to find remote work and my family isn't taking it seriously. I'm terrified and depressed. Okay. Um, this, this is an example where you need to find a community of people who do support you, because sometimes family will tell you to stay in an environment because they don't know any different, right? Or they're like, well, you got to get that steady income. But if you are recognizing that this is harming you in some ways, get in community, get the resources that are available to you. And also, I don't know where you are in terms of, being able to sustain for a time period, but in May, Libria Jones is coming to be one of the speakers for the Job Liberation Virtual Summit.
Oh,
So
good.
that's an option for you. Also, check out Libria Jones' YouTube channel because she talks extensively about remote work. So please check out those resources. Oh, HETV
That's
all
what I
day
was laughing.
tomorrow. Yes, girl. Woo. Yes. What were you gonna say?
But I was going to say about the your family isn't taking it serious. Sometimes, and I posted this on my channel as a short,
Mhm.
when you get a calling, when you get an understanding, when you get a vision, when God speaks to you directly, sometimes you can't worry
Yeah,
about everyone and everybody else
yeah.
understanding that vision, that calling, that whisper, that intuition, whatever it is. And sometimes you're just going to have to move in silence. And I know it sounds easier said than done, but I promise you, you will be able to figure it out when you stop
Mhm.
talking to people that you got to keep trying to convince of your goals, your calling, whatever it is that is burning inside of you. Every successful decision I made, I didn't ask for permission. I didn't talk to people. I used to.
Mhm.
I used to, but so many people would that don't understand it, that don't see it, are going to
Mhm.
try to talk you out of it. And then
Yep.
once they get in here, then so just do me a favor when it comes to family and your job situation, find community.
Yep.
Like Dr. Kamani says, she has resources. She
Yep.
has a community as well and does like she coming in, when is it, May with Libria Jones?
Yeah, so it's
Yeah,
in May, the Job Liberation Virtual Summit, but also in the right, like the immediate. I love what you said. The immediate, when you recognize there's people around you who are telling you to stay anywhere where you're being harmed, you have to make the decision to not share that information with them, because the more you try to talk to them, like Kim said, they're gonna get all up in your head. So you're gonna start mind tripping yourself, self gaslighting yourself, and they're gonna keep convincing you to stay. Okay. So when you're in situations like that, limit what information you share with them. Have boundaries, okay? So they might bring up the jobs that, I don't really want to talk about this right now, right? Don't share that information with them. Talk to people who can support you in moving forward, right? They may not know the plan on your life. You do.
right.
So you be around or be a community of people who can do that. And I've been very transparent that my mother did not want me to leave that job. She was clear, like she was hot,
I
right?
know.
Hot. And so I was like, okay, I cannot talk to her about this. And I did not. I did not talk to her about it. She did not know until 6 months after I had resigned from that job that I had resigned. Okay. That was a difficult decision I had to make. But I knew that the more I would listen to her, the more I was staying in some place that was harming me. So you have to make a decision for yourself. The boundaries is very important, but also be in community of people who can uplift you. Okay.
and pray away those evil spirits of being terrified and depressed. I know you have to put action to it too, but every day ask God to rid you of those feelings, rid you of those emotions, because that depression is nothing nice if you let it
It's
sit and
not.
fester. So,
It's not. And the anger that you might have about the job, if you
yeah.
don't express it, therapy, if you don't express it like in therapy, that anger can turn inward and become depression. And the
Mhm.
fear and the anxiety that you have about leaving, yes, pray, therapy. But on the other hand, also recognize the fear is part of the process. The fear is, okay, I need to get my stuff together. Like, what do I need to do? But the fear is not to make you stay in any environment that's harming you. Okay. Oh, question, Kim. Can you
Mhm.
speak on people not eligible for a passport?
So there are people that for if you may have a felony on your record, you may owe a huge amount of back child support. I mean, there are different reasons that you may be ineligible for a passport, and those are just a couple. So I always try to acknowledge people that may have those restrictions and not just assume that everyone is eligible for a passport. You
Mm,
kind of have a misdemeanor that will prevent you. But if you did, 20 years in jail, you may have to go some extra steps to, get that. It may not be impossible, but it's not the simplest process either. So, and
yeah.
there's other reasons. And so, yeah, there are people unfortunately that are not eligible. Or
Uh,
if you there's other people you may have given your passport to someone else to use to enter or exit a country and you are no longer. Yeah, there's various ways that you
Ooh,
can no longer be eligible. People do that, especially people who have a lot of people. Think about people who came or migrated from not migrated, but who have families that live in another country and they're
mhm,
trying to get them into the country without going the paperwork process.
mhm.
And you have familiar, you look kind of familiar. There's all sorts of stories I've heard with people abusing the passport. So yeah.
Wow. Okay. Okay. I'm trying to find a place where I don't feel nervous all the time. I hate it. I'm so sorry, sis. Again, check out the resources, and I hope that you're able to find something different to pivot to.
Mhm.
I made a batch of chocolate covered banana slices today because, child, tomorrow. Okay, good. Good.
Listen, they made the chocolate factory made me dry after this week because I'm not even a big chocolate person, but I know like a plain yellow pound cake gets me every time. A pineapple upside down cake, those are my favorites. But chocolate is something about chocolate when there's
Yeah.
extra stress that just does it. So I feel you on that
Yeah. Well,
melanin
it
magic.
has like those there's some chemicals in there that
Not
it's a natural mood
endorphins.
elevator.
Yeah, no, it
Yeah.
is. Uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah. So that makes sense, right?
That
The
sounds good.
the gym nation is gonna lock arms and move forward together. Yes, yes,
Amen.
yes, yes. We talked about
Amen.
Snoop. I'm in the same boat. I wish I could find something online. Check out Libria Jones on YouTube, okay? The Four Agreements is a must-have, agreed. Shameful, they were performing, yes. I made some carrot bread on yesterday. I'm praying all around the clock in
I
my
love it.
scripture and watching certain spiritual podcasts. I'm connected to family there in the US and this community. Yes, we're going to be prayed up. The
Yes.
key is a community where you feel heard, seen and heard and valued. That is very hard to find in real life in the US. Hello, everyone. I'm at the point where I want to leave my job and take sabbatical for 7 or 8 months. There's resources for you if you want to do that. So there's the Exodus Summit. There's Stephanie Perry. There's Rashida Dow. Follow them on YouTube. Okay. Comfort food made a lemon cake. Wow. Just for me and my cat sits on my lap and I in my bed talk to good friends who could bring
Hey,
about my
Patricia.
anxiety. Come up with your plan. Okay. Come up with your plan. Okay. My mom passed in 82 and she has been close to me so much lately. Her presence around me is constantly now. I think she knows I'm getting nervous. Oh, so yes, like call on your spirit, right? The
Yeah.
memories of our, yes, that's beautiful. Hello and welcome, grace and peace. I left on 1/6 without another job. My mental and physical health were at risk. Congratulations.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Yes.
So true. It's sad to see what happened to Essence. I heard of the Tree of Life, never knew it was called, is it called Moringa?
The seeds that come from the tree are called
Okay.
moringa seeds. And you
Okay.
cannot, so how I do it, it has a shell on it. It's bitter as all get out.
Mhm.
But some people ground it up and make it into a powder. So the
Ah,
plant is the tree of life, the seed is moringa seeds.
okay. So
Yeah.
somebody said they thought the Tree of Life was it the baobab tree? I don't know. Nation is about to hold each other down. We got you, Truth. Kim, people don't understand your vision. I just started going forward. Get
Uh,
some therapy, not your family. Yes. Hi, thank you for the video. How long do you estimate a transition in careers would take? It depends. I couldn't say. It really depends. Some people are able to transition sooner. Some people go into a bridge job, which is like a temporary job for you to make some money until you're preparing for what you want to go to next. Some people create their own side hustle. Some people create their own business. It really depends. So I can't estimate that. But again, I say check out resources, okay?
mhm.
Jesus had to check his own mama. Woman on a mission. Don't look for me. But probably went back and forth to the island. Okay. Okay. She's talking about, got it. Okay. She was saying, my apologies that he wasn't, Harry Belafonte was not from, okay. I know a brother who can't get a passport because of child support. I've
Yeah.
been watching Librea's channel and actively working on building skills that will help me begin freelancing. Good. I don't have savings at the moment, so I can't get out of the country until then. Okay.
Mm.
Again, just start preparing. Okay. So each day, start saving a little bit more, right? So check your expenses, start doing things you can. So if you want to get really on top of your financial game, the financial masterclass replay is available, and that is in the description section as well. Okay. I appreciate the advice from both of you. Oh, thank
Oh,
you.
thank
Thank you.
you.
Okay, everyone. I know we're a little over, but we had such a rich conversation. Kim was saying so many gems. I could she kept dropping stuff, and I kept like had to go on. So, but it's a good thing. It's a good thing. And I think we needed this extra support as we're going into tomorrow.
100%.
And no matter what tomorrow holds, that we stay prayerful, that we remember who and whose we are, and that we access resources and we plan and we know our options. Okay. We can't control the crazy that's going to happen. We can control ourselves and the
Mhm.
choices that we make. Okay. So, everyone, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Kim, for being my guest today. I
You're
appreciated that.
welcome.
And everyone, please give this video a thumbs up.
Wait a
Yeah,
second.
uh-huh.
I
Yes,
did
yes,
want
yes.
to invite everyone. Well, two things. The moringa tree is definitely, I mean, the tree of life is definitely what creates the moringa seed. You could Google it, you could find it yourself. Now it may also be called the baboa or whatever you, I'm not sure, but it's definitely that. And also for people that are looking for community, we have a community on our channel called the Flawless Gym Nation Private Community. We meet once a week and we have unfiltered conversations. And when I tell you, Thursday of last week, now you don't have to stay on the whole time, but we were on from 8 o'clock to 12:15 a.m. We are
What?
literally supporting each other, dropping gems. We have everyone from Christine, my beautiful moderator, who is such a gem dropper. Was it Patricia? I think it oh my gosh, she's the nurse who dropped no, El Shiva. Oh my gosh, I'm getting them all mixed up, but we have so many women. We also support each other with the action that they're taking. So Christine got her passport, WM got her passport. Christine got a job. Cynthia, who was here earlier, got a job. She also launched her YouTube channel. Like we are in community building each other. And if anyone is out there feeling alone and or not even alone, if you just want to come, because we talk all things, like we talk about what's going on in politics, we talk about what's going on in our lives. We made a matchup of two people in South Carolina, somebody who's there by herself and has no family, is in connection now with somebody who said, if anything pops off, or you could come to my house and
I
they
love it.
so not to belabor this anymore, but if you are looking to join a community, there is a link in my bio. Or no, did you put it in this?
If I didn't, I will put it in there.
Okay, I sent you the email with the links.
Okay, I'll check, but it'll be in the description section. If it's not
Okay.
there now, it'll be
All
there.
right. Well, we're going live tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and tomorrow's really just going to be a fun gathering. We're going to have karaoke, we're going to have bingo, we're going to have trivia and giveaways, but then we're back again on Thursday with our weekly Flawless private membership meetup. Flawless is just the clarity part of being a gemstone, so we call ourselves the gemstone. Flawless does not mean perfect. Diamonds are not perfect, but the flawless ones just have the highest level of clarity. And so that's why our name is Flawless. So please become a part of the Flawless membership. And I'm also available for consultation calls. You have those links as well, Dr. Kamani. And so again, feel free to reach out for me. I pretty much consult on Mexican residency. So I walk you through the process on the US side. I have a 100% record. Everybody who's consulted with me and who has gone through the process has gotten their visa application approved here in the US. And so if you're interested in that, the link will be in the description on Dr. Kamani's channel, or you can come to, it's in my description on every channel. And please follow Kim, AKA Kim with the Gems, on YouTube when you get it.
Yes, please do. Please do. Okay, everyone. Thank you so much. She says, thank you, everyone, for your awesome participation in Golden Gemstones. This is a blessing. Yes, it is. So everyone, again, share this video with at least 2 other Black women. Subscribe to my channel. Subscribe to Kim with the Gems. And I will see you later. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.